Good evening. The Cedar Board of Education, public portion of the board meeting. I'm reading the wrong one. Sorry about that. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Cedar Grove Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be advertised by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on bulletin boards in the district, published and or transmitted to the Verona Cedar Grove Times and Star Ledger newspapers, tap into online news, filed with the township clerk, and posted on the district's website. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Grandi.
Here.
Mrs. Keegan.
Here.
Mr. Pollack.
Here.
Mr. Marzullo.
Here.
Mrs. Dora.
Here. Good evening, everybody. At this point, we're going to open the meeting for public comment on agenda items only. And I don't have anybody for agenda items, so I move to close that portion of the meeting. We're going to move to, we do have a presentation tonight, so we'll do the presentation first, and then we will get to committee reports. So, Ms. Jessen, why don't you come on up? Do you need a few minutes? I can come back?
I'm good. I just
Okay.
wanted to give you guys an updated copy.
There. Thank you.
Should I move my mic?
Everyone up.
Okay, I'm here this evening. Hello, Jennifer Jessen Foos, band and choir director, and also Robert Savino, our orchestra director. We're proposing a trip to Boston, Massachusetts, a performance tour. And if you turn to the second page, we're asking for 3 days, 2 nights. It would involve 2 school days, March 14th and 15th. And it's to avoid the St. Patrick's Day celebrations in Boston. So coming home the 16th. And also the opportunity to be at the Boston Symphony Orchestra concert performance and a group dinner and then Blue Man Group on Friday, March 15th. The first day we would drive to the University of Massachusetts, in which we would have a band and orchestra clinic and choir clinic with professors at the University of Massachusetts, and be able to perform selections and then get adjudication, but also clinic atmosphere in which the students can see what it's like at the college level and also interact on a college campus at the University of Massachusetts. And then the following day, Friday, going to Faneuil Hall, Quincy Market, Boston Symphony Orchestra that night with an orchestra performance, Ravel's Mother Goose, Langer's The Dawn, A Luminous Note, Nose, American premiere of Dvorak's The Noonday Witch, Janicek's Sinfonietta, conducted by Sir Mark Elder, Tanglewood Festival Chorus. There's a lot of things going on in the BSO that evening. And then that would be a performance day, and also the Freedom Trail. Then on Saturday, coming home after breakfast and then stopping at Mystic Seaport. And then we would be, rested to come back to school on Monday. We are approximating 30 students, hoping 30 students. It is right around the time when spring sports begin, so there's a little bit of a concern with that, hoping that coaches, and Rob Gogarty and I are talking, would be flexible with the amount of practices required before they play a game. because it's such a great opportunity for the music program and helps us recruit as well. So, any questions?
Have fun.
Sounds like a nice time.
That's the one.
Thank you. Thank you. We have taken the Boston trip in the past, and it was a lot of fun. And Mr. Savino, when we were talking about locations to go, he's like, you know, let's do Boston. That was a really good trip, and the opportunities to be at a college and with professors of orchestra and choir and band, even though we have small numbers, it's a great opportunity for the students.
The only thing I would add is the same thing I added for the athletic trips, is that the students are in good academic standing
Right.
at the time.
Of course. Yes.
Which I know you're on that, so.
And we also, since the weather is kind of iffy in March, included the trip cancellation insurance, full refund if there's weather issues.
Smart. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank
job.
you. You want to go?
I do want to go. Shut up.
All right, you go to that trip, I'll go to the Florida trips. It's warm. Okay, gonna move into some committees. Good evening. How are you? We're gonna start with you so that you can go home.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, so this was a great month for us, especially All School Council. We did a very successful November food drive where we collected canned goods, especially for Thanksgiving, and they went to local food pantries, so that was great. For our December event, we're planning on doing Deck the Halls again, which has been a long-standing tradition, where each class has a different hallway and they decorate it. It's a little fun contest and fundraiser. But something we're doing a little bit differently is we're going to decorate the doors this year instead of the whole hallways, because we've had some issues with participation in the past, and a lot of the teachers had fun decorating their doors during October for Halloween, so that was good. And we're also anticipating a winter pep rally for winter sports, which we've never done before, so yeah, that's what's coming up.
Nice. Sounds great. So it sounds like a good start.
Yes.
Very good. All righty. Does anyone have any questions? You are free to stay or go.
Thank you very much.
Have a very nice Thanksgiving.
Nice holiday. Yes.
We do.
Okay, so we're going to move on to our committee reports. We'll just go right down the road here. Mr. Marzullo?
I am going to let Mr. Powell speak on behalf of the facility, Ms. Keegan on behalf of facilities, and I also attended personnel, which Mr. Powell is going to speak about, so I'm going to pass it right down to Mr. Powell.
Okay, thank you, Marzullo. Personnel agenda this evening is very much what we discussed at our meeting. There are no personnel items that are outstanding that to report to the community of the board on. Everything that is that we did speak about is presented through resolution as recommended by the superintendent. If I can, may I move on to curriculum?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, and I'll jump in if necessary.
A little bit more on curriculum. We had what I would consider to be an outstanding meeting on the 15th of November. Mr. Grosso, along with all of the supervisors, Mr. Barbosa, Ms. Masato, Mr. Pearson, and Ms. Dora and myself. And the meeting was, I considered to be very informative. It illustrated some of the district initiatives we were moving forward with, and it provided insights into the implementation phase of some of their exciting program. The administrative team, and especially the supervisors, will be commended for their efforts. Some of the major highlights, and I think the community as well as our audience this evening will find it very interesting. The first is we have spoken a lot about and presented back in September our test scores, and we did note that we have some concerns about where we are in mathematics at various points throughout the K-12 district. And one of the things that was recommended to us is that we move with a new K-5 math series. And that was discussed last year, and I'm happy to report that the supervisors, along with staff, both middle school and high school, are looking into the possibility of adopting a new K-5 math series. Another interesting discussion that Mr. Grosso and the administrators are having, which I'm sure you are having with yourself and your families and seeing on TV, is the impact of artificial intelligence on schools and where we're going to be with AI. I thought that the conversation was very interesting, and one of the perspectives we might take from that is we'd like to see AI be used not to beat the system, but to enhance the system. And from that, Mr. Grosso and the team are analyzing possibilities for potential instructional processes through AI. Our staff is attending PD on AI, and also, is there going to be a need for a policy with artificial intelligence as we move forward? There was also a good discussion, which we talked about, that had something to do with our test scores as well. And they call it a dual elastic process. And basically, a very simplistic version of that, when you hear that word, is test awareness. The district is, and the supervisors are working in the direction of making students aware of the type of questioning strategies that are being used on tests. And having our students become more familiar with what they are going to see on the test, and it's not teaching to the test, it's making students more familiar with the questioning that is there. Next one was the state has just adopted new math and ELA standards, all right, which they have just told the districts about, which is going to require the districts by September of next year to implement these. So as the district moves forward, I say to the board, I put in the notes, that will probably wreak some havoc on our 5-year curriculum review cycle, because every district has to have a 5-year review cycle in which they address the curriculums. This will have to now take precedent, and funds will have to be expended to rewrite and adjust certain curriculums. There was still a lot of conversation around our middle school math programs and how we're fostering improvement in that area, and they also talked about some initiatives such as including thinking math classrooms, vertical whiteboard classrooms, and emphasizing the need for reading and writing in conjunction with ELA through social studies. And that is an initiative they're working on this year. And then finally, Ms. Dora and I requested that through Mr. Grosso, that the supervisors and the principals at an upcoming meeting, present how we are doing and progressing on our district goals and our building goals. But the meeting was an excellent meeting, very productive, and I would like to commend the administrative team, the supervisors, for all the work they're doing moving us forward in these areas. You want me to do FSA, since I did that? I also attended both FSA meetings, North End and South End. At those meetings, very lively conversations, focusing on some of the important things that we were speaking about. We did speak about the importance of parents logging into the portal. We once again reminded them of that importance. Talked about LinkedIn, reviewing that data and so forth. We also discussed artificial intelligence and then for them to be aware of it. And we also discussed the referendum, and I will say that I do get quite a bit of information from the public, and more so, quite a few questions from them regarding the referendum initiative that we will need to move forward with. But the meetings were excellent.
Thank you. Steve.
Yesterday, Mr. Marzullo and I met with Mr. DeVita and Mr. Bannon for facilities. Mr. Bannon did a great job of updating us on the ongoing projects around the district, including the completion of the boiler work up at the high school. That's all up and running just in time since the weather's getting cooler. The stage rigging was repaired and is all compliant up to code and working properly up at the high school. They just held a play this past weekend. And the roofing thermal scans have been completed, so a plan will be developed on how to address any concerns arising from those. The ROD grant is still moving forward to do the electric upgrades at North End, South End, and the HVAC upgrades in the gyms at both those schools. And we are currently looking at how to utilize our ESSER 3 funds. So that is something to be discussed and evaluated in the days moving forward. And that's about it.
Any questions, discussions?
Really nothing to update the board on from a finance committee perspective. Everything that we talked about is covered in the agenda.
Great. Yes, I just want to add to what Mr. Pallett was saying about the curriculum meeting. It was, I just want to commend the team. They're really working really hard, the administrative team, the supervisors, and are really pushing the changes in the curriculum. And the feedback that we're getting is that at the building levels, that the teachers are very receptive. So really happy to hear about that. So thank you for overseeing that, Mr. Grosso. Okay, superintendent's report?
Yep, I have a short one. I just wanted to congratulate all of our athletes for the fall season. They had a fantastic season. Excuse me, and I'm looking forward to the winter season, which is starting shortly. I also want to congratulate the students who participated in this weekend's production. Phenomenal production, as always. So we have some wonderful talent here. Also, just to piggyback a little bit on what Mr. Pallett talked about, I know I said I would talk about this. This is an agenda item on all of our administrative meetings, which is AI, and it's something that we talked a little bit about last time, but I'll continue to talk about it. One of the things that we look at are how can we incorporate that into our instructional practices. So the curriculum instruction team actually participates in workshops over at Montclair State, and they just recently went to one yesterday, and they came back with some very interesting tools to use, and we were talking about it today. So it's something we're looking very much forward to unveiling and sharing with our staff. December 7th is a professional development day, and it's something that the team has brought in a presentation on AI, and to try to break down some of the misconceptions of it, especially in education. It is the future of what we're doing, though it is Kristen Masato, our supervisor of elementary, has said we have to be good consumers when utilizing this, and that's something that our goal is to help guide the staff on how to do that appropriately. And again, Mr. Pallett had shared about a policy, and that's something that we will be discussing in our policy committee. And I think it's appropriate to start to explore that. Some surrounding towns have started to do that, and I think it is appropriate to put something like that together, but also to have that evolve as we evolve with that tool. Conferences today was the last day of conferences, so that's always an interesting time to help share how students are doing and how to support them. And lastly, I just want to wish everybody a wonderful Thanksgiving, and hopefully everybody has a nice time to decompress, have time with family, friends, and be very reflective.
Thank you. Okay, so down to business. Not too many resolutions tonight, so hopefully we'll move on pretty quick here. So, under the Business Administrator's Report, can I please have a motion for G1 through G10, please?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Grandi,
Yes.
Mrs. Keegan,
Yes.
Mr. Pallett,
Yes.
Mr. Marzullo,
Yes.
Ms. Dora.
Yes. Can I have a motion for H1 through H3?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Grundy,
Yes.
Mrs. Keegan,
Yes.
Mr. Pollak,
Yes.
Mr. Marzullo,
Yes.
Mrs. Dora.
Yes. We good?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Under Human Resources, a motion for I-1 through I-11.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion there? Roll call, please.
Mr. Grundy,
Yes.
2C.
Oh. With the exception of 2C? Yes.
We have to be clear.
Yes. What is your position on 2C, yes or no?
Sorry, on 2C.
Bottom of page 9.
Oh, no on 2C. But yes to everything else.
Mrs. Keegan,
Yes, except no to 2C.
Mr. Pollak,
Yes, no on 2C, and abstain on J, 10J.
Mr. Marzullo,
Yes to all except 2C, no on 2C.
Mrs. Dora.
Yes to all except 2C, which is a no. And then under Special Services, can I have a motion for J1?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Roll call.
Mr. Grundy,
Yes.
Mrs. Keegan,
Yes.
Mr. Pollak,
Yes.
Mr. Marzullo,
Yes.
Mrs. Dora.
Yes. This time, I'd like to open the meeting to the public on any school-related item. We do have somebody signed up today, so the Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. Public participation shall be governed by the following rules. Please preface comments by stating your name, address, municipality, or residence and group affiliation. Please be mindful of your statement length. Keep each statement to a 3-minute limit. Participants may not speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. Please direct all statements, questions, or inquiries to the presiding officer. Presiding officer may interrupt, warn, and/or terminate a participant's statement, question, or inquiry if it is too lengthy or abusive, obscene, or may be defamatory. The rules may be waived if necessary to protect privacy or to maintain an orderly operation of the board meeting. And Mr. Martinelli. The mic is right there.
John Martinelli, 30 Hillside Avenue. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
And I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving as well.
Thank you. You as well.
I sent an email request to Ms. Dora, who forwarded to Mr. Grasso, in reference to flying the Italian flag for Italian Heritage Month. All right? And I know you need to consider the request, but I just need to know, I have a quick question on that. What is the policy of raising flags other than the American flag?
At this time, I don't think we even have a policy on flags.
Okay. The reason why I say that is that, as you know, about half the town is of Italian descent. And I just like, if say some other groups come up and just say, you know, I want to fly my flag or something like that, like say the same month, like, and I just wanted to know, like, how is that handled?
So yes, you did send an email, and I shared it with Mr. Grosso, and I know he responded back to you
Yep.
that he was going to bring it to the board, and the board would be discussing it in a policy committee, and that's where we're at. We haven't done it yet.
Okay. The reason why I say that is because, like, sometimes it could be like a slippery slope, meaning that, you know, everybody wants, like, a certain one group or another ethnicity wants their flag or another, you know, whatever it is. And I just wanted to know, like, could there be a resolution, like maybe flying the American flag, since we're really all part of the American experience. We're all part of American citizens, and that would probably take care of every group or satisfy every group. And that's the reason why I'm raising the question.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Okay. I don't have anyone else on our list, but absolutely. Come on up. Just state your name and your address, please.
My name is Greg Albrecht, 2 Elmwood Road. I second what Mr. Martinelli said. I think the American flag covers us all. I think we're all Americans, no matter what our gender, sexual identity, ethnicity. I'm a German American. I don't want the German flag being flown. The American flag covers everyone. So I second what Mr. Martinelli said. The other thing I would ask is, during the last meeting, Mrs. Barboza gave some very interesting information about scores, and there was almost a correlation drawn between math scores and attendance. And I thought it was interesting. I was wondering if we could go a little bit deeper, perhaps, and see if there's any correlation between attendance and COVID. Were more people out due to COVID, possibly? And also, more importantly, if you could filter the data possibly by people who weren't absent, did they also perform poorly on some of those scores where the scores weren't just about state average or so? So basically the question is, could they filter it for kids who weren't absent, and did they also do poorly, or did they do better? Same thing for, there was a correlation implied between parents logging into the portal. Is there any correlation there for those kids? If they could filter parents logged in X amount of times, did their kids do better? Because when I was a kid, there was no portal, and my father never logged in. So I'm just wondering. That's my question, basically. Thank you. Unless Mr. Grosso wanted to respond.
No, I think those are good points. That's something that we look at when we examine disaggregate data. We try to look at those finite points and to really try to understand it a little bit better and how we can use that information to inform our instructional practices. But as a team, we can always go back and look, and and just to clarify what you're looking for is the attendance based on the correlation of COVID absences compared to a regular school year absence, and specifically on math scores, and looking about, and then also examining for the students who weren't absent at all, how did that make that correlation? And then you're looking for parents, and you bring up a good point. I mean, we didn't have that technology when we were kids growing up, and our parents had a very different perspective on how they were going to support us as students, right? And so I think, now that we do have that at our fingertips as parents, I know for myself, it does allow us to make ourselves aware. And instead of, I remember when I first started teaching, sometimes the first time parents would ever know about how their child was, how they were doing, was when you had to call them in for a conference. And they would look at their child and say, what? I know that happened to me as a student. So, no, I think you bring up some really good points, and these are things that we can definitely, we will explore and try to make those connect the dots.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting to just see the data, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also encourage you to, please, be in contact with our curriculum instruction department. We would be more than happy, including myself, to, if you wanted to sit down and further that conversation in chunks.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Okay. My name is Jason, 78 Ozone Avenue.
What is your last name, Jason?
Minot, M-I-N-O-T-T. I think the AI was a great thing that, technology. I just wanted to find out, like, how much extensive, testing will need to be done for the AI, and also the AI is only as good as where the source of the information is coming from. So, in regards to how many testing needs to be done, when pulling that data from the database, what type of sources you will be getting that data from.
I'm not sure if I'm following.
So basically, the basically the AI is pulling from multiple sources, you know. So the technology is only good as where that data is coming from. You know, like for example, you say such and such, it's going to pull that from that database to give you the information that you need. You know.
I appreciate that question because it's very true, right? We're only as good as the information that we're given and where we can pull from. And the reality of it all is that we are in our infancy stages of even being able to do those types of things. Right now, what we're doing is we're looking at the products that are out there. We're looking to see how those tools can help aid staff in instructional practices and how they could perhaps develop lessons and aid in supporting students. We look to get to a point, and again, AI is rapidly moving. It's moving at a lightning speed. Our goal as educators in this district, and I think throughout the state and country, as all educators will look at this, is that we don't want to be left behind. It's like when these first came out, or the computer. You know, we want to be able to be very up to date and current with our practices, but we are definitely not at the stage where we can utilize AI to pull like testing scores. I believe we're going to get there. We're probably going to get there pretty quickly too, based on products that are out there. But right now, we're really focusing on instructional practices and teacher support. Then we'll move into the student aspect and the analyzation of the data.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to close that portion of the meeting, since there is nobody else. Announcement of future meetings. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, December 12th, and that will be at the high school. And then the following on January 2nd, which is our reorg, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, and congratulations, Mr. Palick, who has been joining us for another 3 years. And so that reorg meeting will be on January 2nd, and that will be at North End. All right. Motion to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Good Thanksgiving, everybody.